Why not spend your Mondays in a pack? Tonight, the GridVision Superspeedways series heads to Talladega for its turn to see who can conquer Dega. Tonight, the trucks are on showcase as we see how the drivers fare out here on GridVision, with action presented by First Coast Fleet Services. I'm Justin Prince, alongside me is Brian Britt. Our producer once again is Zendel Collins as we get set to go racing from Dega. 2.66 miles the distance around Dega, and with it being the biggest circuit on the NASCAR calendar, expect plenty of busyness, especially when it comes to drivers coming off a busy week in the trucks in the first place, Brian. Drivers can go up to 3-4 wide easy with the tandem draft. Tonight could be wild.
No, I definitely think you're correct. I think it's going to be a wild one. Of course, 2.66 miles of just high-octane action here at Talladega. These guys are going to be able to get over 180 mile an hour, especially in the pack. Of course, I just think we're going to see pandemonium. Of course, we've already seen some racing here in this truck at Talladega. You know, yesterday I know the Global Racing Truck Series was here for 100 laps. It's going to be a little bit much shorter race, 55 laps here this evening, but I think it's going to be probably even more exciting, to be honest, because of the shorter amount of time. And a lot of these times, these guys here in this series, they don't hold back. They're not going to be just running and turning laps. They're going to be hitting that 3 and 4 wide, I do believe.
In turn, it should be a wild night. Keep in mind, last time out at Atlanta, things were extremely fun, where in the end, it was Justin Levine who picked up the race win. However, with the bonus points awarded at the stage end, keep in mind, Craig Jansek is actually your points leader coming into tonight by 2 points over Sean Boundy and Levine. Mark McFadden celebrated his birthday in style with a solid top 5 run as well. James Harris amongst the top 5 of the points, the difference about 8 points. Amongst the top 5, you also throw James Self in the mix, tied with Harris. In turn tonight, though, 13 entering, it's ready to see what they can do here tonight. In turn, who do you think is going to be able to step up here at this racetrack?
Oh, that's a tough one. I really, I'm looking at a driver like James Harris. I feel like he's been very strong in Champion Power Equipment Truck Series. And he's probably looking to have, some good running here tonight as well. I mean, very solid in the truck as it is. I mean, he's probably driven, something similar to this setup as well at this racetrack. We'll have to wait and see. Now, of course, Chad McGinley, as well as Bobby Mantle, yesterday, I should say, at the Global Racing Truck Series, ran here at Talladega. It was an open setup race, but they are familiar with how these trucks handle here. So, as well, keep an eye on them. So this is curious. There's a lot of strong guys that are going to, I think, be able to possibly maybe come out here and win. We'll definitely see who gets the most bonus points at stage break, which will be, of course, or actually it won't be a stage break itself. It'll be a stage that will be counting points. We want to have a caution, but that'll be on lap 20. So we'll see who's going to be up front then.
That, keep in mind, is around midway through the fuel run, if not 2/3 way through it. Expecting at least one stop to get through the race tonight. Still keep an eye on some of the drivers who qualified. Chad McGinley trying to put up a second lap time. He needs another 100th of a second to try and set the pole. Checker flag. He does not have a counting lap time, however. The second lap is invalidated. So it looks like 3 drivers will not set qualifying times. Matthew Kleinschmidt, who is currently sprinting into the garage area right now. The only other 2 drivers not to set qualifying times, Alan Warnecki and Austin Darbyshire. You know who starts at the front tonight, though? Craig Jansek. He sets the pole time with the 55.671. Then it's McGinley. Behind him is Sean Bounty with James Harris. They were separated by 1,000th of a second in qualifying. Then it's Timothy Badcock in 5th position with Bobby Manso in 6th. Faison Chiat in 7th. Mark McFadden back in 8th. For the first time tonight, Randy Post in the series. He starts off in 9th, and James South in the 10th spot. The last driver to set a qualifying time, also a newcomer for this race. Starting off in the 11th spot is Jonathan Platt, the NASCAR spotter. Kleinsmith, Warnecki, and Darbyshire behind them on the grid. So in turn, it should be interesting how tonight plays out. In turn, here are keys to win with Dega.
Well, I think being up front is going to be a big deal. Also, nailing your green flag pit stops, of course, if that is the case, if we have them. Of course, fuel window is about 31 laps. So I definitely going to need to pit, whether it's under yellow or not. But I think being up front is probably going to be the safest place to be, just because if you're further back in this grouping, the more likely I think you're going to be getting caught up in someone else's mess. So I think it's just going to be about patience and trying to hold track position.
So the drivers making the way to the circuit. It looks like Matty Kleinschmidt may not make it in time for the starting grid. He only has 20 seconds to do so. Outside of that, waiting on Faison Shayeth before we get things rolling here. Keep in mind the track temperature very hot today for this race since it is iRacing Day, May 15, 2023. 120 degrees the track temperature, so a very slick one for those Goodyear Eagles. Do you think that might come into play a little bit with the tire strat, or does it stay the status quo of somebody's going to try the two tires and make it work?
I don't know. That's curious. I definitely think that tires shouldn't matter too much, but that will, I think, affect handling on the racetrack. So these trucks might not be quite as secure on this pavement or asphalt as they would be if it was cooler. But I don't think it's really going to affect tire wear too much. I think for the most part, if I was down here in this race, I'm pretty sure I would probably take left sides only to help myself get off of pit road. I think that's the only really reason that you really need tires in this race.
And back in the position, and very bad news for Matthew Kleinschmidt. Appears he's been dealing with some technical issues of sorts because he entered the garage area and immediately disappeared. So we'll see what happens with the 59. Going to be also interesting how the partnerships work out tonight. We already know tonight, expecting Bobby Mantle, Chad McKinley, along with Shayeth to work together. You also have a lot of the other drivers communicating tonight, with some of them starting to get sorted out amongst the GridVision trucks. Then you have Timothy Babcock, who I guess has decided to bring back one sim for the first time in about 4 or 5 years, because all of a sudden he's now in a one sim truck. Apparently I missed the memo of the relaunching of this.
You used to be a member of that team, so you're probably a little upset.
Wait, you were? I was too.
Thought you said you were.
I was.
I was mentioning that you were.
Oh, gotcha. But was about to say, that was 2019 when things shuffled back then. It was a very different time.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I was not a member of that team, but I remember whenever I first joined iRacing in about 2018, a little bit after that, I remember seeing just all of the one sim cars everywhere. I joined in October, so it wasn't, it was first early in 2019. I saw a ton of those one sim cars, but looks like we're getting ready to get this thing going. I think the intensity is getting ready to get high. These guys mean business.
We're all set and ready to go. We're glad to have you with us to spend your Monday here in the pack. It's GridVision Superspeedways, presented by First Coast Fleet Services, and it's set to go from Talladega. Green flag is out. We're underway from Alabama.
And already topside getting a really good run. Chad McGinley, I do believe with the aid of James Harris in the 55, starting to really move. Of course, Sean Boundy giving some pushes to the back end to Craig Ganzak. It looks like bottom line at the moment has the advantage, but you can just see how organized the top is as well. You see, I do believe that is Bobby Mantle as well, lined up right behind Harris, as well as 99 Babcock. These guys are very close to each other's bumpers. Watch out for heating issues here today.
Yeah, especially since with this setup, in turn, have to be able to factor in the potential of that tape. You can adjust the tape these days in these NASCAR trucks. It is a locked race configuration. That's the most recent build. Coming out of turn 4, though, for the first time. Yancek trying to get the lead lap. Chad McGinley looking to do the same, however. Looks like it's going to be McGinley to lead for the first time here today. He takes it at the stripe in the early going. He didn't lead a single lap at Atlanta Motor Speedway, meanwhile. So this is his first lead lap in the series.
Yeah, definitely a great job for Chad. Of course, used to driving in this NASCAR truck, and we talk about the heating issues of the engines. Now, keep in mind, we thought about it being 120 degrees Fahrenheit. That can play into, I do believe, the temperature issue when it comes to the engine. So these guys are going to really want to duck out more often, I think, try to get some air to those noses. We see Craig Ganzak, of course, making a run on the bottom with the help of Sean Boundy.
But you know, like they stay stationary for the time being. And the runs, when they were attempted in fixed competition, in the SOF race in particular, they were pretty massive. As in, you get two pushing, all of a sudden you get a big boost and you can be able to run forward and away. This time, James Harris lets McGinley get ran back up to his teammate to Mantil, and Mark McFadden also wants the top. But I was about to say, yeah, those runs expected to be huge.
Yeah, big run there from Harris. I mean, of course, able to jump down in front of Craig Ganzak. Of course, those guys kind of working together here somewhat. Of course, if you see them on a Tuesday night, they do not work together at all. But it seems like they have have a little bit of a tentative alliance here on these Monday nights.
Indeed, staying patient for the race for the time being. Outside of the 3 wide, Jonathan Platt trying to get something to work. Now, that truck on the outside is the 66 paint scheme, but 43 in sim. He's also been a long-time racer, built up some connections through sim racing. Then, around the end of the last decade, got chances with Kaden Lapsevich and his respective racing program. Then, a few years later, got some chances NASCAR spotting, and now he's one of the spotters in the NASCAR Cup Series as of this year. Also made some spots for drivers like Joey Logano in the talking points for the Bristol Dirt Race. He's actually technically the one who broke that news. I don't know if he was supposed to or not back then. Still don't have that answer. It's been a busy time since then for Jonathan Platt since his major sim racing time in 2010s.
That's definitely interesting. I did not know those things about him, and can't wait to see what he's able to accomplish here in GridVision Superspeedways. As, of course, we see 3 wide, the 21 of James South. Definitely meeting business up on the top side. Of course, I do believe being aided by the 43 of Jonathan Platt right now. As we see also the middle line, led by Chad McGinley. Some wiggles, almost 4 wide for a moment.
Two longtime friends making a bit of contact up on the top side. Trying to get that third line to work. There is the space to be able to do so, mind you. Downside's going to be making sure you get the runs to work, because the major talking point all week, and we touched upon this in Atlanta, the middle line was the best line in the trucks. Especially because you could pull back the inside, but you have the benefits of the straightaway speed down the straights.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting since, this whole last week that they were at Talladega in sim, the middle line, no matter what car you have been in, pretty much has been the strongest lines in the NASCAR Next Gen and in the truck. So, and we're definitely seeing that be the case here, of course, this Monday. Sean Bounty jumping up top in front of Chad McGinley, going to lead that middle groove. Of course, James Harris still leads the bottom. Big run, though, from the middle groove.
Breaking along still, inside line bound, top line bounding, I should say. James Harris still working the inside. Every week, he brings a different paint scheme. Today, trying a little bit of the blue, yellow, and tealish on the 55. Looking like he and Bounty just trying to dictate the run. They did have some experience working together in the last race they ran. If anything, most of the field is a bit more working together this week in the commentating or groups of discussions compared to the more splintering groups last week.
Yeah, last week I think it wasn't so much as working together, that's for sure. And tire wear was a lot bigger of a deal than I kind of think we thought it was going to be, at Atlanta Motor Speedway in that Gen 6. I mean, that was a breath of fresh air to see how that car and track combo kind of work together. I mean, it's some of the most exciting racing I've ever really seen on the sim. And these guys are probably still trying to transition from that to this and, really are trying to work together a lot more than they did last week, for sure. And it looks like we have had some transitions itself here, as I do believe the middle groove have kind of disintegrated. They're trying to reorganize that groove.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you don't get enough coordination in a single line, it's very easy to lose the draft even a little bit here. You still have to stay within a second, obviously. But now there's the chance of the top line coming up. Bornecki getting blocked. Bounty did not want to give that up easily. James South, Jonathan Platt, Austin Derbyshire adding the numbers on the top line.
Yeah, I think Bounty kind of a little bit of a late move there in front of Warnecki, and Fortunately, Wernicke, I think, was patient with him, cut him a little bit of a break. One thing about the next gens, you can kind of have a 10-mile-an-hour run on somebody and really be able to pound the back of that bumper, and it's going to stay straight. This truck is not like that. If you have a big difference in momentum and you hit the back of somebody, most of the time it's going to spin them out.
So already coming up towards lap 10 on the 9th circuit around here at Dega. Top line again. James South and Jonathan Platt hooked up. Now, don't be surprised to see them hooked up a fair bit throughout the night on the top line. Not just because of the teamwork, but also because they're also longtime friends in the sim. Whenever, especially around, say, 2019, you mention James South, usually you mention Jonathan Platt's name basically within the next 3 words.
That's definitely interesting to know, and it seems like they definitely work well together, got some good chemistry on the racetrack. As we see 3 by 3, of course, Boundy in that middle lane, still finding the most success at the moment. But we have seen little glimmers of hope from that top line, and I think they're starting to get a really good launch. Here's James Sal, tries to go for the lead. 3 by 3 for the lead here at Talladega.
Yancek on the bottom, Boundy up the middle. James South trying to get the top side, moving as the lead truck. A little bit close at the back of the line, but everybody holding steady, okay-ish for now. Big check about the top line, though, as the side draft kicks in.
Oh, we got somebody around. I think that is the 64 of Austin Derbyshire. Loses it all of a sudden and takes another driver, Mark McFadden, with him. And caution flag is out on the speedway.
That's our first caution already of the night, just like that. What happened is the huge question. I think we just got our answer of tire wear, because you'll see in the replay, I think Austin Derbyshire just got loose.
Let's take a look at it. It could very well be. And we see the 64 just all of a sudden, right there. He just got, I don't know if that was air, maybe the turbulent air behind the cars in front of him. I don't know. That was definitely incredibly odd. I mean, it could very well have been a tire issue. I definitely like to take another look, maybe through his cockpit camera. But definitely a great job to our producer for catching that accident and showing it back to us.
She's getting to the pit box. Let's take another look at this. This is from Derbyshire. It just snapped.
Yeah, and I also think he was trying to turn to stay off the wall as well, and kind of turned a little bit too much to the left as well. And I think that one of the things about, especially with it being so hot out here, the 120-degree track temp, I mean, if you make sudden moves with the wheel, it'll snap like that. And I think that's what we saw. Especially he didn't hardly have any downforce on the front end, Justin.
I was going to say, one of the main thought processes, at least I've had in those scenarios, why not just lift a little bit to hold the nose? But now Timothy Badcock, Muntzols with damage. Mark McFadden, mandatory repairs already in the pit box. As we start off the pit cycle with only one driver, Jonathan Platt, not taking the service here. That's only about 11 laps into the race, coming up to lap 12, mind you. So expecting 2 tires, if not top-offs. There it goes. In fact, Alan Wernicke, the first one out of the pit lane. 5 drivers topping off, the rest taking 4 tires and fuel, and/or the faster pair.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think Boundy took 2 tires. I do believe Wernicke took fuel only. Sheck took fuel only. I do believe McGinley fuel only. Mantle, I do believe fuel only. Harris fuel only. So for the most part, about half the field took fuel only there. As we're now 12 laps in, of course, keep in mind, stage will be coming out. Of course, it won't be a stage caution. It'll just be, they will count the points after the race to see who gets the bonus points there. But it will be on lap 20 that they will, of course, kind of freeze that picture crossing the line on who is where in that top 10, and that's how they're going to award those points.
Once again, pacing here on GridVision after a first caution of the race. A quirky yellow racetrack here at Talladega, but with that being said, why don't we take a quick step aside? When we come back, we'll get back underway For racing on lap 14, you're watching GridVision Superspeedways, presented by First Coast Fleet Services.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back, everyone, to tonight's coverage of GridVision Superspeedways, presented by First Coast Fleet Services. Getting all situated for the restart, Jonathan Platt going off cycle to take the race lead. Warnacki, Boundy, Sheath, and McGinley, followed by Manto and Harris amongst the top 7. Timothy Badcock taking the faster pair, the first on 4 tires. Just Prince Brian Brittle alongside as we get set for the restart. Jonathan Platt in control once they reach the restart zone. Warnacki leading the outside group. Green flags up, back underway. And a big launch from Platt, already a truck length and a half ahead.
Yeah, that's not necessarily a good thing, because that's going to give Boundy an opportunity to draft up here. He's just going to have to hope. Platt's just going to have to hope that Boundy doesn't jump up in front of Warnacki just like he just did. And I think we're going to see Platt get swarmed here. And of course, Platt did not pit on that last caution, so he has less gas to play with than the rest of these drivers. As you see, of course, Chad McGinley trying to push him up to speed. We see 3 wide again here. That's the 99, I do believe, of Babcock tries to go high.
Trying to work the wall. He has a little bit of help. Now his help is gone. James Self instead elects to help him. For the most part, though, a clean restart. Sheath already dropping back, working with Mantil. Already several drivers trying to fight to hold on to the draft. Randy Post making his first start of the season tonight. Just about lost the draft with Austin Derbyshire. Now Derbyshire's electing to ditch his friend.
Well, that's not good. I mean, you don't want to be ditching your buddies here. But it looks like I think they're going to hold on to his draft. Oh, some big wiggles. Oh, we got problems at 55 of James Harris. Spins out on the backstretch.
Cautions flags. Cautions are flying again. Our second yellow of the race. What happened here is that took out just about everybody on the middle line.
I don't know. I mean, this is odd. We're seeing guys spin out, get loose. I don't know if this is a tire issue or what, but James Harris just all of a sudden got loose. Right here, you're going to see him. He jumps up. I don't know if this is maybe net code maybe or air between the drivers.
You know what I think that was? one of the major advice points, including from Reaper Speed Lab during the first Talladega races this year, was do not do what James Harris just did. Because with that setup and with the trucks in open racing, you try and cross lanes coming out of the corner like this, and weight shifts the back end and you're gone.
I got you. And also probably with the change in banking, yeah, I could definitely see that being the case, because it seemed it was like right when he was exiting turn 2 that he decided to jump up in front of that top line. And unfortunately, you can see that just a change in banking unsettled the race car. Yep.
Let's take a look at it slow-mo. And watch, all it takes is that decision to go up to the middle line right at that exact part of the corner exit, and it just becomes light. Little fleck of the wheel. That's just enough to shuffle the back end. By the time he tries to correct it, it's gone.
Yeah, he had gotten loose with that little flick of the wheel and was just trying to control it from there. And unfortunately, the guys in the top line and middle line were just they had the surprise of their lives. That's for sure. We're gonna probably see some more fast repairs being utilized here on lap 16.
So with that, no drivers with mandatory damage repairs, but remember, Harris amongst those who had to get some repairs done the last period already. We'll see who actually has the fast repairs available. Harris did bank his. Bobby Mansell is holding on to a fast repair. She looks like having to get some repairs done. Randy Post also like to come back down. And Matthew Kleinschmidt looks to have settled out what was going on technically, because he's back in the race 13 laps down.
Yeah, that's definitely some determination there for him to see him back out. I mean, I don't know if we keep having cautions, he might get some of those laps back, but I doubt he's going to be able to get back on the lead lap. Speaking of lead lap, Mark McFadden, unfortunately, I think might have gotten maybe an X or something, or 0X, something that has disqualified him from him getting one of his laps back, unfortunately.
And remember, if you get any sort of instant points, even if it's just like a graze from somebody, even if it's a 0X, that can absolutely cost you. So he was in the vicinity of the incident, but didn't have the actual physical contact, rather. So we'll have to get a wave around or a lucky dog on another caution. All that being said, we're already close to lap 20, looking to be a 2-lap shootout, at least for the stage points. And then we race on, of course, from there. No cautions for stages, as we touched upon. So this may get very wild before it calms down.
No, I agree. I think it's going to get wild. I don't think it's going to calm down, really, to be honest with you. I mean, just considering once this, I don't know, we're going to be close to even being able to make it on fuel very soon as well. I mean, I do believe the fuel window is about 31 laps. So in the next probably a few laps, if we have another caution after this, I think we're going to be good to go to the end. Now, it does depend on what the full fuel percentage is that these guys have, but I think they run 100% gas.
Correct. So it is a one-stopper regardless of how you slice it tonight. It's about a 33-lap run, maybe 30 because the size of the racetrack. Regardless, though, you still have a long way to go to be able to make it on the run. And that's dependent on where the cautions fly, of course. Once we get past about lap 25, I think that's where it could get interesting on Stratton in that case.
Well, my thoughts are, I mean, we've never really seen this season, of course, that we just started this series. We haven't seen calm. I have not seen a calm bone in any of these drivers' bodies this entire season yet. I mean, last week was just absolutely nothing but nuts the entire way through, and I don't think these guys are going to calm down. I just feel like everybody out here, they want to win, and the racers, you know, pretty much definitely through and through, they're racers.
So with how things are sorted, here's how the field is right now. It's Boundy and Warnecki. Then it's Platt and McGinley. Babcock and Self. Derbyshire and Yancek. Harris on the faster pair and Post. Chiat and Mansell. McFadden laps down. Kleinsmith about 13 laps down. He needs about, give or take, 12 or 13 cautions at least. You better get some of the laps back. So we'll see how this restart goes this time.
Yeah, I think he'd need a caution pretty much. We wouldn't be able to turn a lap green if he was to get back on the lead lap. I think we'd have to have a caution every single time we went green for him to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, very unlikely that happens.
Yeah.
We've seen crazier things happen, though.
I don't wish that on us, that's for sure.
So on that note, Bounty looks to be in control. The inside line already getting a small edge coming up to the restart zone. Might be a little bit closer with the experience in second on the inside. Nope. Green flag's back out and Bounty ahead by a car length and a half this time.
Yeah, I'm surprised these guys that are leading this race kind of go so early. You would think you don't really want to catch these guys off guard. This is not the track to kind of really want to catch anybody sleeping. You want that guy to be right on your rear end. And of course, Bounty goes up to Wernicke. They're going to start to work together as well. As you see the bottom line, I do believe trying to work together. That is Platt, and I do believe Babcock.
Once again, teammates try to work together outside of one who can't get down. But for the most part, Bounty trying to play the lines like Brad Keselowski. Coming up to the stage points next time by. Coming up to lap 20 this time around. Jonathan Platt wanting to give himself some points up on the board. Bounty looking to try and get himself some points up in the championship fight as they lead the way to lap 20.
Yeah, it looks like Bounty's going to get it. And possibly, I think he's got himself a stage win.
Still one more lap to go to decide it, though. How does this go by the time we get the other way around? More numbers on the top line. Does anybody shuffle out to try and rip the points away is the question. Wernicke's clear. Looks like he's electing to stay with Bounty.
Well, as soon as you said that, we had somebody answer your question. Oh, almost some issues as they go down to the bottom. Wernicke gets tagged on the rear by Platt. Somehow they keep it straight. 3 wide, though. Here comes South. Bounty tries to jump up and block. No one goes with him.
Here they go, down the front. South gets the push. Yancek, the points leader, coming in. Gives the shove to South. James South picks up the stage win. Second spot at the stripe, Platt. Yancek in the top 3. Babcock, Derbyshire, Bounty, Harris, Randy Post, Wernicke, and Mansell all part of the top 10. And now we race towards the pit stop window. Now we can calm down.
They definitely were, it was very intense. And here, Platt, I think, going down to the apron, he's going to drop back to the back.
He got his
I don't know if
points.
he was really trying to get those points. I think that's what he was trying to do. Of course, he's joined this season fairly late. So trying to, I think, believe, catch up. He's going to fall. Hopefully he doesn't drop off of the back of this pack, and he's going to be able to hopefully get the draft. But no, he might lose the draft here if he's not able to get up to speed here.
Going to be a close march and might need somebody to back up for him. It looks like Randy Post is electing to be that bridge between the two packs. That should be just enough for Platt to hold on.
Yeah, I think he's okay. Side by side, though, for the lead. Sean Bounty making a big push with Austin Derbyshire. Of course, Craig Yanzak leading that bottom line with James South. As there goes Babcock. He does the same thing. He's going to the back.
You have to wonder if this is going to be a team play coming up here. That was McGinley going up there. I was about to say, you know what one of the biggest strategy plays is, Brian? Getting a group of 3 or 4 to pit a little bit early, break away from the pack, push as hard as they can. Sometimes can gain you about a few seconds on track because the energy is so focused compared to the checkups up at the front like this.
No, I definitely agree. I think that's a really good idea. I think that would be the winning strategy, just considering, I mean, even though you have more numbers in this pack right here, like you said, focused. I think that's the key word, as well as there's just too many variables that are up here that all these guys trying to push it at the same time. It's just somebody's going to make mistakes. Somebody's going to slow up this pack. big move to the top there. As that is Austin Derbyshire trying to see if he could possibly take the lead here.
Derbyshire getting very dicey as a race car driver. He's a man of many life forms on the iRacing service. Graphic designer at one point. Big part of ownership with one sim at one point. And now, broadcast director and company co-owner. It's crazy how things have turned over the years with him, I will say.
No, he's definitely he's done a lot here on the sim and well respected. You know, I know he's got a lot to do with the Reaper brand as well, and of course, as you mentioned, GridVision, and just definitely a good friend and very talented. He's a visionary, I'll tell you that.
Great point. It's big things with him trying to lead that top line meanwhile. And remember, when we're talking about those times in the late 2010s, he also raced a fair bit back then as well.
Is that right?
He's had that 64 font for a good 7 years now.
Wow. James Harris, though, right now in control. Of course, we saw Harris earlier with a big moment. Very loose condition. Somehow he's back up into contention, though. Now, a lot of these drivers do not have fast repairs left as we start lap 25.
Harris on the bottom, Derbyshire up top. Should be expecting drivers in the window in the next lap or so. Now, here's the interesting thought process, too, depending on how this goes here. Platt has to pit soon, and it looks like Harris may be trying to join up with that respective group. Now, Platt has to take about a full tank of fuel. Everybody else is in a spot where they may be able to go for the splash, if not a 2-tire stop in fuel, if they come down early. So what do you do here? And also, mind you, if you do it late, either way, you just have to do the race backwards on math. What do you prefer, overcut or undercut here?
That's definitely a good question. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the most successful calls I've seen have probably been the overcut. Really, just kind of coming down and not taking as much gas and having a little bit less weight in the race car as well. Maybe make you a little bit faster. As we see, guys are starting to have a little bit of handling issues. You see Derbyshire moving and wiggling all over the place. Ganzak a little bit afraid to give him the pushes here. That's going to give the momentum to the top side.
Everyone looking to jockey down towards the bottom, also on that top. It looks like for the most part, drivers are getting used to how the handling's playing out here in the long run with those bobbles, though. Was about to say, though, you see where the pit stops would shuffle drivers once they were to exit. You see that little P in that circle. So that's where they would cycle basically around the racetrack, about a 3/4 distance back by the time things fully settle out, depending on where they go. And keep in mind, you see the differences in some of the stints. Some drivers have an offset as high as 5 to 10 laps, depending on where they are in the field outside of Platt, who is offset by 25.
I really like your strategy you talked about earlier, though, about kind of pitting a little bit early with just 3 or 4 cars and just kind of working together that way. I think that could be a winning strategy, and of course, I think that would require a short pit. So I'd be curious to see if that happens. If it's going to happen, I'm surprised it already hasn't.
Around the lap 27 this time around. Already zipping her way to halfway this time by here on GridVision. Expect teamwork to start to come into play in the later stages. Interestingly enough, the lap car of Kleinsmith, he's not afraid to race up front. He's that blue Kyle Larson / Spire Motorsports themed truck. He's still up there despite being 13 laps down. He can always try and race his laps back.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely very curious.
He's actually trying it.
3 wide.
I was half joking on that, by the way. He could become Bill Elliott from the 1980s. Not likely with this package, but he could try.
Well, I mean, I think the best thing for him something to happen is if he was able to get up in front of these drivers, take that lap back the hard way, and then a caution comes out and him to get the wave around the lucky dog. But unfortunately, that won't happen because Mark McFadden right now is the lucky dog.
And he actually just started racing forward, too. Here's the tough part, though. If McFadden, say, gets contact here, that gives the lucky dog Kleinsmith. If both of them get contact, no one gets their wave around a lucky dog position. You know, give and take. Looks like Kleinsmith in turns responded with going to the back. So once again, Platt expecting him to come down in the next few laps or so. And already some of the drivers, as a result, trying to find holes to the bottom of the racetrack. Does anyone peel in this time? Looks like they'll wait for the time being. Although Mantle's trying to side draft hard on that inside groove.
Yeah, we are starting to see the distance between the top and the bottom line kind of decrease a little bit. I see Boundy as well is getting very close to the bottom here. 3 wide again. As there goes Platt. Even though Platt needs to be saving gas right now, he's taking a long distance away around the track, and he's in cleaner air. He should be running out of gas very, very soon. I'm surprised he's making these sorts of moves.
I mean, at the same time, you want to know if those moves will work, even on the sim, for later on, to see what you can do if you have to pull out.
What's crazy is these trucks are just so on edge right now. You can just clearly see, I think it is the 15 of Freyson. I saw that driver's getting very, very loose. I think these guys are into the dirtier air. They are having a time keeping these trucks going straight.
25 laps to go, this time by the stripe. And we're inside the green light on the fuel strat. Most of the field can go about 10, maybe 15 laps at the most. Platt has to come down with the next 5 at the very most. And Yancek Amonsto's already communicating heavily on the radio coming up here as you see that inside line led by Derbyshire. A couple others starting to pipe in as they get ready for the pit stops.
Whoa, Yanzak going up way high. I think that maybe Yanzak's temperature is getting a little bit hot, trying to get some clean air on that nose, but unfortunately he's getting awfully close to the top side.
Yeah, you can see him right over the back end trying to push Derbyshire. Still not able to fully push ahead on the inside down the straightaways. And that's the difficult part. This has always been a thing on iRacing. Inside lines better, and Yancek tries to slide up and gets turned.
Oh, big hit. Green flag is still out, and Yanzak paying the price. Falls back to 11th place. Hard hit on the outside wall as he tries to jump up in front of Boundy. Boundy having none of it.
Let's take a look. Error might have been a small factor, but there definitely was a move up into turn 1 and 2.
Taking a look back, and you see, yeah, he was, even if there was some error in between those two drivers, he wasn't clear. And unfortunately, that was just such a, I think, bold move. He almost was clear, but I mean, I think he needed a live spotter to make something like that happen.
And in turn, he needs a caution and quickly. Mandatory damage repair flag, the meatball flag out for the 3. He has 3 laps to serve it.
Heartbreaking too, considering he's at the top of the points pylon right now.
Welcome to racing at Superspeedways. There he is, by the way. Randy Post and all that also lost the draft, so Post also needs a caution, and now both of them are saying it's raining down the backstretch or something of the sort.
That's hilarious. I'm shocked that Platt is still out here able to turn laps here. He's got to be running on fumes. As, of course, Sean Boundy out front in lead as we start lap 34.
Interestingly enough, they have waived the meatball flag for Yancek. That is something we've seen in a couple series, particularly in Thunderclap being done. That doesn't fix Craig Yancek's truck, but at least it doesn't mean he has to come down in 3 laps. Doesn't fix the situation being half a track behind all this before the pit stop window.
Well, you're just going to have to hope that he doesn't blow up. Because, I mean, that meatball flag might be indicative of some engine damage, and if he blows up, he won't even be able to make it to the pits. Because the thing is if you ignore that meatball flag, most of the time damage gets worse.
Yeah.
Looks like we got somebody back down pit road. There's Platt. I knew he was on fumes. Here he comes down pit road all by himself. That is not what you want to do. You do not want to have to come down pit road by yourself here at Talladega.
So with a couple cautions factored in, that's about 34 laps there, about 30 laps-ish under green. So the drivers outside of that have maybe about 7 laps in the tank, up towards a 12 for most of the others, depending on who topped off the second time around. Downside for Platt, he has no help the rest of this run at least, as we look back up to the front still with Derbyshire. Bounty still up on the top line. Now he has James South electing to push him.
Yeah, definitely going to be happy to have a kind of a friendly face in GridVision, uniforms kind of pushing him there. But Sean Bounty, though, really working that high side very successfully. Of course, he's working with Bobby Mantle right now. So it's kind of Canadian versus Canadian right now.
Hey, some of the top drivers in the sim, especially behind the scenes, are Canadian, mind you. At one point, the Coke Series broadcast crew was all Canadian for the commentating side.
No, I definitely, I don't hate it, that's for sure. I mean, there's some very talented Canadians. Some of the most talented drivers I've known on the sim have been Canadian. You're talented yourself, Justin. I mean.
Well, speaking of Canadian side of things, we mentioned the Lapceviches. Traden Lapcevich actually picked up the Pinty Series championship of the past week or so. So he finished things off to add to a dynasty of the Lapcevich family. Keep in mind that's where Caden won the championship. Their father also a champion in the series. 3 different relatives from that pipeline alone picking up Pinty Series titles / CASCAR championships.
That's pretty cool. Definitely interesting to hear that. I've never really followed that series.
Still keeping an eye, meanwhile, on Derbyshire. So keep in mind, Atlanta was a very tricky spot if we had green flag stops. Here, a little bit easier, but there is still Calamity Corner. That could be a major factor.
Well, I mean, it's definitely going to be difficult to on paper, it's not that hard to pit here. What really makes it difficult is a lot of times when you're pitting here, you're going from 180 mile an hour down to 55, and you're also doing it side by side. I mean, a lot of times, when you're pitting, communication is so key. You kind of talk to your teammates and like, okay, I'm going top, you going bottom. The way you enter pit road, I mean, everybody has to be almost flawless. It's a dance, and if one person makes a mistake, that's their race.
And keep in mind with all this, how this is going in here. This could be a very tough pit entry coming up here in a moment or so. They are approaching Jonathan Platt. And Jonathan Platt is on his own at 171 miles an hour. The field is running up to 190 down the backstretch.
Yeah,
do you see a little bit of a difference there?
Well, that just shows you how important the draft is. I mean, that's 20 mile an hour. That's a huge difference in pace right there. And, just the strength in numbers of these races. Being all together and being kind of a collective is way better than just being one race car. And Platt, because of his, staying out that one stop, that is going to be what causes him to possibly lose this race. He's going to need a caution.
On his bright side, he picked up points. Downside, he may need a caution to be able to contend for the race win here. He didn't get the caution he was looking for. Here comes the field, and Platt makes the smart call up to the top line with the 2x2.
He's going to have to hope that he can kind of leech onto the back of this pack here and kind of just hopefully hold the draft and stay with these guys for a little bit to gain some more of that time back.
I was about to say, you know what the tricky part is here too? He still has to race for the lucky dog. You know who's still up towards the front of the lead pack? The lucky dog, Mark McFadden.
That's right. McFadden, of course, I do believe third in line on the bottom right now in the 48 machine. And he's definitely the lucky dog. So you're going to see Platts definitely try to work his way up. Now he takes him 3 wide up on the top to see if he can maybe do that the hard way. He has no help, though. Oh, maybe he has some now. Looks like Warnecki's willing to work with him.
Trying to push ahead with the 72 up top. There's that tandem we talked about. And they're doing it one of the better ways to do it. They are avoiding any side draft from the left quarter panels and fenders. And this is as the pit window now opens for the rest of the field. Sean Bounty wants to come in this upcoming time by Derbyshire, looks to join suit.
They are 3 wide right now. Going to be coming to pit road. I guess the top line not going to be coming down. I don't think they would. Now, Bobby Mantle, those guys pitted a little bit, I do believe, later than the guys that are coming down now. So they can go out and stay out a little bit longer.
Their difference, again, about 5 laps on the fuel tanks. Warnecki nearly into the wall. And here they go for the pit lane. Bounty leads them in. Derbyshire comes on in. Here comes some more. And a huge send and a slide from Timothy Babcock. Babcock nearly driving through the back of them. Kleinsmith nearly hits the side of them. James South with the best entry out of all of them gets side by side for the net lead.
Yeah, South did an amazing job. The amount of speed he was able to carry on the entry, he went through the middle 3 wide, essentially making some passes on pit road. Bounty just misses box, has to kick it in reverse a little bit there, probably lost a little bit of time. He takes, I do believe, fuel only coming off pit road, of course. Austin Derbyshire actually doing the best coming off of pit road.
Bad news for James South fans. It's not a speeding penalty. He took 4 tires. Here's the problem. Everybody else took 2 tires and fuel at most.
Yeah, man, this is just bad. Because everybody's separated. It's going to take some considerable effort to get back together. I think Sean Bounty has probably got the draft of Derbyshire. I think Derbyshire might be checking up a little bit to allow them to catch up. We do have, I do believe, the second group coming down pit road as well now.
So the teammates all coming in. They bring James Harris with them. So that only leaves, really, Warnecki on track. These drivers now for the lead net. Derbyshire and Bounty of tandem. Warnecki does have help in Jonathan Platt. How long it lasts is a question. Mark McFadden has been passed for the lucky dog spot, though, in the midst of all this.
As well as we're kind of seeing this pack coalesce back together. As, of course, we were talking about Austin Derbyshire and Bounty linking up. Well, Babcock, Ganzak, and Randy Post are all right there behind, not too far back. So that's crazy to think that after that mistake on pit road for Babcock, he really didn't lose that much. He's still with this pack.
Roberts coming off the back straightaway. Bobby Manso can't make the block. Derbyshire zips on by. Warnecki still yet to pit, but Sean Bounty and Armstrong Derbyshire, 3rd and 2nd respectively now on the racetrack. They have been able to bring Timothy Babcock with them despite his slide. Also in the mix of all things, Craig Yancek laps down. Kleinsmith as well. Here's a look at Warnecki. He has to come down pretty much in the next lap or so, you'd have to think.
No, I think this is just a desperation move here.
Oh, and a black flag. James Harris, unsafe pit exit. He has to come back down to serve it.
Oh, that is definitely a heartbreaker for Harris. Just a bad night gone worse.
A nightmarish night from 55. Warnecki,
Great
I'm
night
surprised.
for Derbyshire, though. Go ahead.
Yeah, was about to say, Warnecki, though, has been able to go very far in this run. The problem is, needs to have something happen. He needs to pit. He, Craig Yancek, and Randy Post all need things to happen. By the way, James Harris out of the race. He's your 2nd DNF.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate for Harris. I was just talking about Austin Derbyshire. Oh, he's starting to get, I do believe, I thought Derbyshire had a really good shot here, but it looks like a lot of drivers are starting to team up on him. That's big moves from Bobby Mantle and Chad McGinley working together up on the top side. Now Bobby Mantle in the net lead.
The teammates able to zip along the outside. Don Bounty looking for a place to poke. Randy Post trying to find a way to poke ahead of Yancek in the race for the lucky dog as well. Multiple groups of tandems as Derbyshire still has Babcock to work with. But right now, these drivers come at 10 laps to go, this time by. Warnecki, already in the pit lane, is completing his service. So expect this to be the battle for the race win.
Yeah, pretty much 8 drivers, actually no, 7 drivers that are in this pack that have a chance to win this race. At any moment, things could change. We've still got a long way to go, even though it's only a little less than now 10 laps. That's still an eternity on a plate track.
And there's Warnecki. He will not be able to get back up in time for the pack, it looks like.
Whoa.
A little bit
Really
close there. Was about to say this likely going to be a race between 6 drivers for the win once Jancek and Randy Post come down for the respective service. There's Warnecki. That laps. Doesn't matter if you can't hold on to the pack.
That's a good point. You just reminded me of that. I forgot that, Jancek and Post still needed to come down pit road. So, yeah, that's interesting to say the least. They're hoping that a caution comes out as well. Of course, Derbyshire back in the lead. So you can see it looked like hope had kind of gone away for a second when everybody ganged up on him. But he found his way back to the lead. So things could change in a moment's notice here at Talladega.
Bobby Mansell trying to lead the bottom line, meanwhile, with McGinley. Pied Piper of Derbyshire up to the top. Babcock bobbling, trying to keep up with Boundy. Kleinsmith, the lap truck, nearly going 3-1 amidst all this.
And Kleinsmith could play kingmaker right here. I mean, the thing about it is when you're a lap car, doesn't matter how many laps down you are, if you still got a capable truck, he could push someone to the win and really affect the results of this race.
More bobbles with the lap trucks, or rather some of those needing to pit in the near future. Amongst those starting point factors as there's a move from Jancek. Nearly all the way to the door of Boundy there.
I'm wondering what Jancek is doing here because he is just, he still has to pit and he is being wildly aggressive. I don't know if he's trying to force a caution because he's doing the right things to do it.
And you know who this helped? Alan Warnecki. They slowed down so much with all the side drafting that he's caught the pack. More door contact. Boundy and Jancek are trading paint in 3 and 4. Coming to 7 laps to go. The rivals continue to bounce as Warnecki saves the day for Boundy.
Yeah, I am not sure what Jancek is doing, but he's sort of bullying Boundy right now. Of course, Warnecki links up with Boundy, and it kind of helps out Boundy. He's going to fight for the lead because of this.
A big tandem push. Boundy's clear if he wants it. He doesn't. Derbyshire keeps it alongside. More communication on the radio, expecting pit stops coming up for Post.
I had wrote Warnecki off, but he is back in this thing.
Here, contact as Babcock just about drifts down. Mansell now gets the big run on the inside. McGinley trying to push the aero bubble. Coming to 6 laps to go this time. Derbyshire again the shove from Babcock. They think about the block on the outside as there go the final 2 to need service. Jancek and Post. Jancek just about speeds his way in. Post keeps it conservative. The battle for the win down to 6 trucks.
I would not be surprised to see Jancek with a penalty there because, I mean, he was flying on the entry to pit road. Of course, Austin Derbyshire leading that middle group. They're not going all the way down to the bottom. This is getting wild and crazy as we come to 5 to go. I mean, these guys are fighting for, like, if their life depends on this.
Some of the drivers starting to push the pushers here. Kleinsmith got pushed by Mansell down the back. Now Boundy only has Warnecki to help. Kleinsmith now tries to help Mansell. Now Kleinsmith elects to pull out of it and stay out of the fight. All it's down to are the 6 lead lap trucks. 5 laps to go from Talladega. Babcock and Derbyshire bobbling as they go 3 wide for the lead.
Wow. You'd think this is the last lap. I thought Babcock seemed like he was going to stay with Derbyshire, but it looks like for a second there, I think Babcock got a little bit selfish. As you see the this is pretty much going to come down to almost a early 2010s tandem race to the end.
Oh, contact!
Oh, and there goes Darby into the outside wall.
No caution yet. Darby Shark crashes hard to the inside. Babcock slows down. We still stay green. But the top two pull away. Will there be time? Looks to be time for Mantle and McGinley to reel things up with the help of Kleinsmith. Let's look at the replay.
Another big move on the exit of the corner from Derbyshire. That's not what caused this accident, though. I think that you can see that Babcock was pushing Derbyshire. Derbyshire came up the boundary and I think got a little bit worried. Tried to move down, and unfortunately, that caused him to get hit by Babcock again, but unfortunately not a square hit.
With that being under green with no caution, Derbyshire have to come to the pit lane with the meatball flag. We stay green. Now it's down to 3.5 laps. Here come Mantle and McGinley. They go up to the top side. No block from Warnecki and Boundy. It's down to a tandem draft race to determine the winner. Mantle has the run. McGinley helping as hard as he can to his teammate.
And I really do think Kleinschmidt is going to play Kingmaker here. I don't know. He seems like he's backing off. If he pulls in one of these lines, that's going to help that line, I think, win this race. But I think Kleinschmidt is not going to possibly influence this.
He did back out initially. Now he's trying to fall behind the purple truck of McGinley, it seems. There is lap traffic ahead, though. Craig Yancek and Randy Post are just up the track. Will they play a factor with 2.5 laps to go? Post is the further of the two. Yancek is within 10 truck lengths of the leaders as they make their way through 3.
Looking at lap times, they're definitely going to catch Yancek. I mean, Yancek's running quite a deal slower than these drivers here.
This could get interesting with the help of Yancek. Mantle has the better run on top side. 2 laps to go from Dega. Yancek is not moving. Boundy nearly pushed behind Yancek. They nearly rubbed the side of Yancek's truck. They all hold on to it though, but that did break up the top side.
I think Yancek must have did that to try to stay the leader on the lap down cars. I'm not exactly sure what his motives were there. He's going to be pushing that bottom line. He's definitely going to influence the results of this race as we come close to the white flag.
Lap and a third to go. Yancek with major momentum on the bottom side. Here comes Bobby Mantle to try and line up and wind it up. Coming up to the white flag, this time by. Setting up for the final lap for GridVision Superspeedways from Talladega. White flag is out. Brought to you by Reaper Speed Lab. Randy Poe stays up at the top side. Everyone on the bottom. Can anyone make a move on Sean Boundy?
If we're going to see a move, it's probably going to come out of turn 4. Here we go. Mantle trying to generate another run. I think they might be running out of time, though. I think really the best hope that Mantle has right now is if Warnecki jumps out.
Mantle trying to pull back Yancek. He doesn't have the help from McGinley yet. Now he does. Coming out of turn 4. Warnecki all over the bumper of Boundy. Does he leave the 34 out to dry? Through the tri-oval. There it is. The block from Boundy. Warnecki pulls him back. Warnecki comes back to hold on to the draft and take the win at Dega.
Wow. What a late move for Warnecki. And, of course, Craig Yancek really helped out Warnecki. I don't think if Yancek wasn't there, Warnecki would not have been able to generate that massive of a run. Boundy has got to be just defeated. That's one thing about Talladega, though. If you're leading coming out of turn 4, you're probably not going to be leading across the start-finish line. You're going to be a sitting duck, and that's exactly what happened to Sean Boundy.
What a finish. What a finish indeed, though. Warnecki picks up the second ever victory in the history of this series in points-paying races. The difference between first and second, 0.016 seconds. So Warnecki looks to celebrate here. Mantle and McGinley did finish second and third. In fact, 3 drivers passing Bounty in the span of half a straightaway.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it really worked out well for Bobby Mantle and Chad McGinley. Definitely great for them. Not as so good for Sean Bounty, but man, still a great finish. You love to see these trucks at Talladega. As you can see, Warnecki definitely excited to get this victory.
Let's take a look at your unofficial race results here tonight from Talladega Superspeedway. Alan Warnecki, one of the main quotes on his bio, the lousiest of the best and the best of the lousy. Tonight, he's the best in GridVision Superspeedways. He gets it done with the last lap, last straightaway pass with Bobby Mantle and Chad McGinley second and third. Sean Bounty led about 3/4 of that final lap. That changed up through the dry oval. Timothy Babcock in fifth, James South, and along with Faison Shayeth on the lead lap. Half the field finished the lap down, though. Craig Yanzik, Randy Post, and Jonathan Platt went down. Platt had to pit a second time for fuel. Mark McFadden, Austin Darbyshire did not finish. Same said for Harris and Kleinschmidt here today. So in turn, a 2-3 for Tabula Rasa eSports. As well, Warnecki for Buckwild Racing picks up his first win in this series. Let's take a break. When we come back, post-race coverage, you're watching GridVision for coverage of the GridVision Superspeedways.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Welcome back to tonight's coverage of GridVision Superspeedways, where we spend Mondays in a pack. Justin Prince, Brian Britt with you with Zendel Collins producing as we start off post-race coverage after a busy race from Dega. We'll start things off the conversations with third place's Chad McGinley, as he was able to come away third spot, pushing Bobby Mantle to the very end in the last stages of the race. A 2-3 for the team tonight. What's your thoughts, Chad, on tonight?
It was fun. I had a good time. Everybody was pretty respectful for the most part. And obviously, Talladega, anybody can win, and just staying out of trouble. That's kind of what our focus on was. Caught up. Bobby and Faison got caught up a little bit in the first wreck, and luckily I managed to make them through all of them, but almost got them the win.
And talk about the team bond tonight when it comes to you with Bobby and Faison, who still finished on the lead lap throughout all that. How would you describe that bond throughout the night in those communications as the night progressed and so far this season?
It's been real good, honestly. I mean, Faison's a new teammate for me. Me and Bobby run for Global's Truck Series. So we have a really good bond, and we're just really clicking, in my opinion. It just sucked. Faison had a small mistake in the pits and cost him the lead pack and whatnot. So, but it was pretty good, though. I mean, we worked together really well. I mean, when the time's right and time to make the move, I mean, we all do it, in sync.
And with that being said, the next race on the docket for the series is back to Atlanta. So Atlanta twice on the first rotation. But it's the Xfinity Series cars. We've seen how difficult it was the first time with the Gen 6. What's your approach in turn now going to be like for the Xfinity Series cars, knowing the tire wear factor?
Oh, it's going to be definitely a driver's track for sure. Managing those tires is going to be key to the finish and running fast time. So not much of a Xfinity car driver, mainly a truck guy. So this should be an experience and hopefully an adventure as well, but hopefully it turns out good.
Well, Chad, congratulations on the top 3 tonight once again.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Chad McGinley coming away in 3rd spot tonight. Bobby Manto, his teammate, in 2nd, is with Brian.
Bobby, definitely fantastic job there. It looked like you two were possibly going to be able to win this race there with the way the tandem was working out there at the end. How do you think what could you have done differently to possibly be one position better here tonight?
I don't know. It was so close. There was one move right before the last lap where Chad fell back a little too far. I think if he had stayed a little closer, we could have had a little bit more of an aggressive push. And obviously, if that lap car hadn't come into play, I think we probably could have gotten the 1-2. But you never know how these things are going to unfold.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. I mean, of course, definitely I think you're referring, Craig Ganzak did have kind of a part in that. He kind of pushed the bottom line and, of course, strengthened numbers here at Talladega, but still a really good points day for you here today in the series. I mean, did you have fun? How did you guys prepare? I know you did a lot of racing yesterday in the Global Racing Truck Series.
I got all my preparation there yesterday, so today was just all about having fun. I had a blast today.
Well, how did the difference in the setups, what was the difference? Because I know that this was more of a custom fixed setup, utilizing the Reaper setup, and I don't know what you used in the Global Racing Truck Series. I know that's an open series. Was it any different?
Honestly, not really. Like, there's not a big difference between the setups. Like, I tried a bit of Reaper and Team Watson last week. I ran Watson, and I didn't notice the difference between the two here. You notice more of a difference on the tracks where you have to do some tire saving and stuff like that. But a big super speedway like Talladega, I didn't really notice any difference with the setup.
Well, that's definitely interesting. Well, still a good job to you. Of course, next week we're going to be heading back to Atlanta Motor Speedway or Atlanta Superspeedway, as a lot of people have dubbed it, in the Xfinity car. A much different race car than the Gen 6. How you feeling about that?
Last week, that was my first time going to Atlanta. Not a huge fan of that track, so I'll see how well I can adapt next Monday.
All right, we definitely look forward to it, Bobby. Who can we give a shout out to before we let you get going?
Big shout out to you guys for putting this on for us, and shout out to all the guys that showed up today.
All right, Bobby. Well, thanks for giving us a good show out there, and we'll see you next time.
All right, thanks.
And Bobby Manto coming away in the 2nd spot tonight. There's Alan Warnecki has had to step aside as we come throughout the close of tonight. He did have the notification that he had to check on his child after the finish of this race. He did say he had a lot of fun tonight pushing Sean Boundy, and did say he kind of stole that one and will take it. What can you say? that kind of emphasizes the point. If you have a chance for the win, why not?
No, I don't think he did anything wrong. I think that, it don't matter if you're teammates, it don't matter if you're best friends, if it's your mama you're racing out there coming out of turn 4. If you got a chance to win the race, you're going to take it.
And in turn, the next time out, Xfinity Series cars, or the Grand National Series cars, depending on how you phrase it, at Atlanta Superspeedway. 80 laps once again that distance. That will be October the 9th here on GridVision. Let's take a look at what's coming up next, meanwhile, on the schedule. Already a busy night here on Monday, but champion action goes to Bristol Tuesday. That coverage starts at 9 p.m. Then on Thursday, the SSRL Truck Series already building lots of demand to join in. They have their next race at Charlotte, 9 p.m. Eastern. Then, speaking of Charlotte, the Roval on the docket for NIS Open. That's at 9 p.m. as well. Also, on Sunday, if you like Charlotte, congratulations, you get double Charlotte. Global Racing League and RGR Chase for the Cairo Glass Cup, all on Charlotte's racing surfaces at 12:30 and 9 p.m. respectively here on GridVision. That being said, that should just about wrap things up for tonight's action. I'd like to thank you for tuning in for tonight's action here from Talladega Superspeedway. For my broadcast colleague tonight and Brian Britt, for Zendel Collins, I'm Justin Prince saying so long, enjoy the rest of your evening. If you're watching GridVision Superspeedways and its second race of the season, presented by First Coast Fleet Services, we spent Monday in a pack. Good night from Alabama.